Hello students, how are you all? Students, a few days back, you may be knowing something unusual happened in the Arabian Sea. Do you know what is it? Yeah, it is a boat collided with a rock and fell upside down and 6 people have died. Same kind of another unwanted happens. It's a natural disaster happens in the Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean. Do you know what is it? Yes, yes. Cyclones occurs in the blows in the Bay of Bengal and resulted heavy rainfall, death of many people, the loss of property, everything happens. Okay. Let me tell you a story of Vasco da Gama. You may be knowing all. Vasco da Gama, he began his voyage from Europe to discover the new sea route to India. But he has not reached India. Somewhere he voyaged many days, weeks together, and all the sailors in his ship, they were fed up, by voyaging many weeks together. But Vasco da Gama did not lose his hope. He has a strong faith with the Almighty. One fine morning, they saw some indication, something live, some fluttering, some lights and all, and finally they have reached the new land. So likewise, here is a poem we have with the faith of Almighty, they have survived. Let us see the poem Ballad of Tempest, written by James T. Fields. What is the meaning of ballad? Ballad is, we used to say, Lavani. It's a famous song. It contains a story. The word meaning is, please write down. A narrative composition in rhythmic verse suitable for singing. Suitable for singing. It contains a story and easy to sing also, very rhythmic song. It's a ballad. And the meaning of tempest. What is tempest? You might have heard the name of Suntaragali. Wind blows very fastly. Tempest. Write on this also. A violent storm. A violent storm. Now I'll read the poem. Open the text with page number 136. I am reading the first para. Keep your finger where I am reading. We were crowded in the cabin. Not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters, and a storm was on the deep. We were crowded in the cabin. Who were the we? Who are the we? You know, this you can see there are two photos on your textbook. See, you can see the tempest, the storm. You can see a ship is there. Ship was facing. It is in not a proper position, in a very dangerous position. You can see it, no? Yeah. We were crowded in the cabin. Who were the we? It is in the ship. Who are the ship? Who will be there in the ship? The sailors. The sailors will be there. We refer to sailors. We were crowded in the cabin. Crowded. What is the meaning of crowded? People, if something happens, some incident happens, people were crowded there. They will gather. They'll gather there. So that is crowded. We were crowded in the cabin. And what is the meaning of cabin? Cabin is a special room in a private room in a ship or a boat. Write down that. Cabin. Cabin, a private room on a ship or boat. Okay. We were crowded in the cabin. All the sailors were gathered in the cabin. Not a soul would dare to sleep. Not a soul. Soul, what is the meaning of soul? Soul means an individual. See, we can see one figure of speech in this line. Not a soul would dare to sleep. Soul indicates an individual, but depicts here the whole, the group. So such figure of speech is called a synecdoche. Underline it. Not a soul would dare to sleep. That figure of speech is synecdoche. Synecdoche. Indicating a part, representing whole. So here also it is not a soul would dare to sleep. Soul an individual, but representing all the sailors in the ship. Okay. Now the third line. It was midnight on the waters. It was midnight. Midnight is always dangerous in the sea. Midnight on the waters. And a storm was on the deep. The storm, the blow, the breeze was very strong, was on the deep. So once again I will read the para. No way we were crowded in the cabin, not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters, and a storm was on the deep. Okay, let me read once and you have to read after me. We were crowded in the cabin, not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters, and a storm was on the deep. Sing, you recite along with me now, because this poem is for the memorization. You have to memorize this. We were crowded in the cabin, not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters, and a storm was on the deep. Okay, now we'll move on to the next para. Tea is a fearful thing in winter, to be shattered by the blast, and hear the rattling trumpet, thunder, cut away the mast. Tea is a fearful thing in winter. What is T? T means tempest. Tempest is a fearful thing in winter. It's a fearful all the time, but it is more fearful in winter. Because in sea or ocean, something happens. When we voyages, there is nothing is there around. In and around, only the water will be there. Have you voyaged have an experience any voyage? See, it is not like we are traveling by bus or by a train. By bus or by train, if you go, we can see many objects. There are trees, there are buildings, some landmark will be there. That is there. That we can identify where we have gone. But it is not like sea. Sea, wherever you go, there will be water surrounded by you. So, not easier one to travel. Okay. Tempest is a fearful thing in winter, to be shattered by the blast. Shattered. See, if the breeze blows very fastly, what will happen? It will shatter. It will shatter. Right, the meaning of shatter. To break apart, breaking into pieces, to break apart. Okay. Shattered by the blast. And hear the rattling trumpets. What is a rattling trumpet? Rattling. Rattle means like making sound. If a wind blows very fastly, it hits on any object, that creates some pata pata sound like. That is called rattling. Rattle. To make a rapid succession of short sharp noises, like pata 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 sound, it happens like that. To make rapid succession of short sharp noises. See that word again, rattling tempest. Have you observed one more figure of speech is there? Because some spelling, some sound is repeating here, like T, rattling trumpet. So what is that figure of speech is called as? It is alliteration. If sound or spelling is repeats in a particular line, that figure of speech is called as alliteration. So in this poem we have learned two figure of speech, one is synecdoche and another one is alliteration. Okay. And to hear the rattling trumpet, thunder, cut away the mast. There was a thunder, I shouted, cut away the mast. Mast, you know that. Mast is suppose this is the ship and this is the mast. To control the air to go in a particular direction. There is a mast. Okay. Now once again I'll read it. You read after me. Tea is a fearful thing in winter, to be shattered by the blast. And hear the rattling trumpet, thunder, cut away the mast. Once again you read along with me, you recite it. Tea is a fearful thing in winter, to be shattered by the blast. And hear the rattling trumpet, thunder, cut away the mast. Here are few small questions to you. Write down. I'll write on the board. You have to answer that. Who were crowded in the cabin? Who were crowded? The sailors were crowded in the cabin. Not a why were the dare to sleep? Why the sailors were dare to sleep? There was a tempest. The life was in a dangerous position. We don't know what is going to happen next. If you sleep, we'll sleep forever. So be cautious. Suppose something unwanted happens, you can jump on water, and we can catch some life-saving objects, and we can save our life. So predict, I mean, what is going to happen next, that we don't know. So none of the sailors were sleeping. They were gathered in the cabin. Okay, move on to the next para. So we shuddered there in silence, for the stoutest held his breath, while the hungry sea was roaring, and the breakers talked with death. So we shuddered. What is shuddered? Means, nervous. They were shaking. They were with fear, because they were all anxious. They were all. They understood something bad is going to happen soon. So that shudder. To shake. They were fearing with fear. So we shuddered there in silence. In silence, they were all shuddered. Yeah. Because none of them has a dare to open their mouth to speak. So they were shuddered there in silence, for the stoutest held his breath. The stoutest. Stout means brave. Stoutest, brave, determined. Even the brave one also was shaking, shuddered, held his breath, because they were breathing very difficultly, because easily they can't breathe also. For the stoutest held his breath, while the hungry sea was roaring. The hungry sea. What is hungry sea? Here poet describes by seeing the condition, comparing the sea to a human quality. Like hungry is a human quality, the sea is hungry is telling, because at any time something happens, all will jump in water, they may die. So indicating that. So here one more figure of speech we can observe that. Hungry sea means human quality compared to the non-human, the sea. So this is personification, comparing human to sea here. Personification. So, in this class we have learned 3 figure of speech. Hungry sea was roaring and the breakers talked with death. Breakers, large turbulent waves moving towards land. Means the large waves, write down, breakers, large turbulent waves moving towards land. This is a heavy waves blowing on the coast. So it is talked with death, means indicating there is a dangerous position. They may die at any time like that. Okay. Let me read it and you read after me. So we shuddered there in silence, for the stoutest held his breath. While the hungry sea was roaring and the breakers talked with death. Now you recite along with me. So we shuddered there in silence, for the stoutest held his breath, while the hungry sea was roaring and the breakers talked with death. Okay. Okay, children, we have learned 3 paras today, and remaining 3 paras we will learn in the next class. Okay? Please by heart this poem, memorize this poem, learn this poem, read it. It is an easier poem, easy to recite. You write and learn. You write and learn this poem, and this is very important for the examinations. They memorize it. Many times they have asked this question. Even sometimes this poem is asked for the extract also, just like say like you say, the hungry sea was roaring. That sentence if you take, the hungry sea was roaring. Maybe question may be asked it. Why the sea was hungry sometimes, and they may ask the reference, what it reference, I mean the figure of speech they may ask, the figure of speech indicated in this line that they may ask, or they may ask the meanings of the particular sentence. So likewise, any sentence may ask, like one more sentence in second para, cut away the mast. That also, that line also may be asked for the extract. So you have to understand the poem, and you have to answer the questions. Read the questions thoroughly. So answer is very easy. The question is difficult. So read the question thoroughly, so that you can answer very well. So nothing difficult in that. You read it twice, thrice, and write also. You write and learn, because in the exam you have to write, you have to show. So learn 2 lines, then write and see again. Any mistakes is there, spelling mistakes or anything is there, you just observe that. And if it is everything is clear, then move on to the next 2 lines. Likewise, you can learn all the poems. It is a very easier poem. Remember the author's name also. This poem, Ballad of Tempest, written by James T. Fields. Sometimes they ask the question on the author's name also they will ask. Okay. So in the next class, I'll complete the next 3 para. Till then, goodbye.